Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm really glad you're here because you might be feeling this way. You might be feeling frustrated or angry as you go through this crazy perimenopause, menopause experience. I know I'm hearing it from my clients. I'm hearing it from myself sometimes, where it's just a lot of frustration around the things we're experiencing, the things that we didn't know we would experience, that even though we're doing everything right, meaning we're eating a clean diet and exercising and maybe getting a good night's sleep and taking care of ourselves, but we're still experiencing symptoms like weight gain or joint pain or sleep deprivation. And we might feel frustrated with hormone therapy because we are a generation, the first generation really, that has been educated against using hormone therapy, especially those of us who are at higher risk for things like breast cancer or cardiovascular issues. Now, there's a lot of confusion out there with new data stating that hormones are not only safe, but could actually be protective and not destructive. So there's a lot of confusion, a lot of anger. There are a lot of promised supplements and therapies and exercises and foods, and maybe they're not working for us. There's so many sources of frustration, and I know it's tough. So what can we do with all this confusion, frustration, anger? Should we just throw in the towel? Part of me feels like, yeah, I would just throw in the towel. It's very tempting to just let go, and I just don't want to be bothered with it. But of course, that's not going to help. It's not going to make us feel better. So I think the first thing we have to do is on ourselves is to understand and accept what is going on. And acceptance, of course, is not throwing in the towel. There is a difference between the two. Acceptance is about getting real with what is going on. We're not giving up. We're just getting real. So it's accepting that your body is going through a change. It's doing a lot of behind the scenes work to adapt to your failing ovaries. Now, I hate that term. I really do. Failing ovaries. But to be honest, that is exactly what's happening to us when we get into perimenopause. Our ovaries are not working anymore. They're shutting down. They're closing for business. And they were once pumping out estrogen and progesterone and also testosterone, which we don't talk about. But yes, these three things, which in addition to giving you a cycle and preparing your body to carry a baby, they've also helped keep your stress lower. They've helped regulate your body temperature. They've kept your mind sharp. They've regulated blood sugar. They've kept cholesterol in check. They kept your libido going. They've maintained moisture in your vagina. So many things that these hormones are responsible for, and all of a sudden, they're just not there in the quantities that can sustain that. So your body, because of this natural process of perimenopause and menopause, now your body has to learn to do all these things, all these processes I just mentioned. They have to do them without the high levels of hormones that used to do that job. So it's as if you are a CEO of a company and the whole engineering team or the whole human resources team, they up and left. They just left. So that's your ovaries. They up and left. And all the other departments who weren't doing this job, they had to pick up the slack and learn new roles. This is what's happening. It takes time. As a consequence, of course, when you think of a company, if this happened, if all these other departments had to learn a whole new job and take over, balls would be dropped for sure. Symptoms would happen, which is in the case of our perimenopause. It would not be a smooth transition, but eventually the company would learn to work again. And it's the same with your body. It will adapt to this new situation, to this new normal. And yes, it will take a few years and maybe a few or many symptoms, but it will find a new balance and a way to work efficiently again. So accepting this fact is important because it can alleviate some of the frustration and anger, especially when they're directed at your body. It's recognizing your body is not the enemy. It's not working against you. The truth is that it's working super hard to keep you alive and moving each day, keep you healthy. And our job as the owner of these amazing bodies of ours is to take care of them in the best way we know how. Movement is a big one. Good food choices, sleep, finding more peace and calm, and maybe even hormone therapy. And it's to remember that there's a stress associated with feeling angry and frustrated, especially unexpressed anger and frustration. So if we're holding all that in, we're actually causing stress to our bodies and we're hurting ourselves. And so we've got to stop grinning and bearing it, because we're not doing our bodies any favors, especially at this time of life. We cannot hold it in. So that's the second piece of this puzzle, is letting go of frustration and anger. But first, it's to know that it's okay to feel this way. It's okay that we feel frustrated, angry, or whatever negative emotion we feel. And it's not only okay, it's important that we let ourselves feel it and let ourselves express it. It is not wrong. We need to learn to let these emotions go through us, to live with them, to let them pass. So we can scream, we can shout, we can write and dance and run, obviously in a safe container somewhere, whatever allows you to feel that feeling and let it pass through you. And next, it's to believe that the efforts you are making, if you're making changes to your diet, to your exercise routine, to your stress management by lowering stress, to your sleep routine so you can get better sleep, all of these things are working. Don't believe that just because you have gained weight or you're still experiencing hot flashes or bladder infections that the effort you're putting in is not worth it. Because of course your body will be healthier for it, and it will eventually incorporate these changes so that you can see them from the outside, but it does take time. And remember that there are benefits you can't see in terms of what you're not experiencing. So if you weren't doing these things to take care of yourself, you have no idea how possibly worse off you might be. So the key here is to find belief that your efforts are working and that they're worth it. And in my case, I've been experiencing joint pain and body aches. That's my biggest symptom. And I hold fiercely onto the belief that the efforts I'm making to stay strong and fit, to eat well, to sleep better, to calm my mind and body, I truly believe that my situation wouldn't be as good if I wasn't doing these things. And I really hold that fiercely in my heart, and that keeps me going. And that's one way I can let go of frustration. But there's also the frustration with the medical system and the frustration with misinformation and overwhelm of information that's being generated around us. And here we need to move into action. We need to take that frustration and put it to work. So go out there and find a doctor or medical professional who does understand menopause, who is educated in this change. They're out there, but we may have to do some legwork to find them. This week, I mentioned I went to the menopause clinic here in Montreal. So if you are a native to Montreal or even surrounding areas, that's a place you could go. But there's also a database of menopause certified doctors and practitioners on the Menopause Society website. The Menopause Society used to be the North American Menopause Society, and they've re-identified as Menopause Society. They have a website with this directory on it, so I'll include the links to both the Menopause Clinic and the Menopause Society in the show notes, so you can use them to go find a practitioner. Also, you can seek out a coach. I am one right here, or a nutritionist or a personal trainer or any other professional who is educated in the menopause transition. They are out there. You might have to do a bit of work finding them, but they're out there. And tune out the sources of information that are causing you confusion. And a good way to do this is to choose just a few people to read their books or listen to, people you feel you can trust, and let go of all the others that show up, because there's so many. There will always be new products out there promising an easy fix. So be careful of that, because they don't know you and they don't know your body or your symptoms or your history. Believe and know that there are no simple fixes. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to your symptoms. For most of us, what will make us feel better is actually a combination of strategies, and it may take trial and error to find out what works for you to give you some relief. And even then, doing all those things may not solve all the issues in one shot, because there's no solution to menopause. It's happening whether you like it or not. Just like puberty happened, just like maybe pregnancy happened for you, those events changed our bodies, and at the time they were uncomfortable, but they didn't last forever, and neither will this menopause transition. But it will be uncomfortable sometimes, and it will challenge the most fragile and emotional parts of you. But know that there are things you can do to feel better, and that you are definitely not alone. Of course, I can help with the lifestyle changes, and the right medical professional can help you by performing tests and ruling out any other possible issues, like maybe your thyroid. And they can also help educate you about hormone therapies, because there's not just a one-size-fits-all hormone therapy out there either. You might need estrogen or estradiol, progesterone, and maybe even testosterone. You might need all three of them, and you can decide if you'd like to go that route. Not everybody wants hormone therapy. Not everybody feels they can take it. But go to a professional and get yourself educated. You will get through this. And even if there are no absolute cures or solutions to menopause, you can feel better. You do not have to suffer through this time. And I've said that many times here, but I really, really need to repeat that over and over again, because this is not a time to just sit and suffer. Now, last thing I want to talk about is support from other women. And I think it's important that we talk about these important issues openly, and that we share what we learn, and that we're listened to, and that we're supported as we make lifestyle changes that aren't always easy to make. We know it's not easy to get the exercise routine going, or to start eating in a certain way, or to, take the time to de-stress. We know these things aren't always easy. And I like the idea of creating a community where we can all learn and share and make positive changes to feel better together. So this September, I'll be starting a perimenopause menopause support group, and I'll be keeping it small, a maximum of 12 women, so we can get to know each other, we can create trust, and we can make the changes we want to make for whatever our goals are. Our goals might just be to relieve symptoms, but we might have goals beyond that. So it's a place to share, a place to move forward, a place to celebrate each other. And of course, I'll be doing this group coaching program, but I'll still be doing my one-on-one coaching practice, because a group isn't for everyone. I know that. So instead, there will be 2 ways to work with me starting in September. And then there's this podcast, which is always free and always here for you. So stay tuned in the coming weeks, because I'm going to give you more information about the group and how you can join. In the meantime, if you are interested in joining this group, if you know that already, or if you have questions, just let me know. Just connect with me through email, or make an appointment to talk with me. My info is in the show notes, so please go there and get the info you need to get in touch with me. And with that, I am so grateful again this week that you chose to join me. And if you enjoyed this episode, or if you learned something here today, I'd love you to go to your Apple or your Spotify or whatever platform you're using and share a takeaway, share what you learned. And I really, really appreciate it. And I'll be back next week with a fresh new episode. So keep moving forward, and bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum Podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at debbieharbeckcoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See you next week.